Hi Keeley, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So what would you like to get from coaching today?
Today I just want to feel more empowered, more, self-assured of myself, of my mission, of where I want to go as well in life. I also want to become more fearless, especially in the realm of public speaking, and just to become more confident,
Okay. Gosh, that's like a big mission. I really feel it. Like, you know really clearly what you want.
Absolutely.
And what will that deliver for you if you have that fearlessness in public speaking, clarity in your mission? What difference is that going to make for you in your life?
It will allow me to deliver, my sessions in a more powerful way. I'm able to feel more comfortable with my abilities and with what I'm providing as a service for the people that I cater to. It will just make everything very comfortable for me. And I just want that comfort, I don't want to be held in fear. I don't want to be held in, anxiety to try and prohibit me from what I want to do. So, yeah, I just want to feel fearless in every aspect of life.
Wow. And so tell me, what does it feel like now? If you want to be fearless and more empowered, when you're public speaking or when you're delivering the work you do, tell me, how does it feel currently?
It feels great, but one of my main focuses is that I'm more so worried about what people are thinking of me whilst I'm delivering, my sessions. I'm worried about how I may come across to them, whether or not I'm saying the right things. I guess it's more about making other people happy. I know that you can't actually make people happy and you shouldn't be seeking for other people's validation. But I feel like when you're delivering a session, you want people to get the best out of what you're offering them, and yeah.
And what kind of feedback do you get at the moment?
I actually get good feedback, but when you know yourself and you know your abilities and you know what you're capable of, sometimes I know that, within me, deep down, I'm not actually quite hitting, the 100%, press mark. And I know that we can't be a perfectionist. It's just impossible. But at the same time, I want to try as hard as I can to be great, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a time you remember when you were like that? Like you were just fearless, you were just on it, it was just one of those days when, gosh, everything comes together and you're just like, oh, if I could bottle this and keep doing it, that would be amazing.
Absolutely, I remember that very well. It was a day where I was delivering a session to foster carers, prospective foster carers. So foster carers that were actually aspiring to become foster carers. And I was basically delivering a session, empowering them as to why they can be good foster carers, the benefits of it and so forth like that. And yeah, the session that I was delivering was so flawless. It was great. I was able to give them eye contact without feeling, scared. It was a great session, but sometimes I deliver the same session and my speech goes slurred. If I'm looking at someone in the audience and I feel a bit put off by them because of the way that they're looking around, I feel like perhaps, I'm not being understood or I'm not conveying my point across in the right way.
So tell me that particular day when it just worked. When you were just on it, even though you've delivered that session again since, and you might not have felt the same way. What was it? What was going on that day?
Well, it was a more smaller crowd. I felt more included in the environment that I was delivering a session in. I felt very intimate. I felt almost like I was talking to my family members. The other day when it was not so good, it was a much bigger crowd, and I felt more fearful because there's a bigger audience, really.
Okay. What else made it really work? So you felt it was a small crowd, you felt included. What else was happening?
A lot of people within the crowd was very receptive of me. So I saw a lot of people nodding, a lot of people smiling. And obviously from that gave me the impression that, everybody knew that what I was saying, was on the right lines. So that kind of gave me the go-ahead to keep that momentum and continue, basically hitting the nail.
Okay. So their body language was saying to you, yes, it was confirming that you were saying things that they got and that they were receptive and interested in what you were saying. So you were feeding off them quite a bit.
That's what it was, yes.
Yeah. What else? What else was going on? Was there anything else going on for you or, on that day?
It was just a good session. Everyone was quite, inclusive. They included me. They made sure that I was comfortable beforehand. So before delivering my talk, they would offer me food, offer me water to ensure that I was hydrated and I felt, the very best in order to give the very best. So I felt a lot of comfort before I began to actually, speak in front of everybody.
What I'm hearing is part of the key to you being this confident speaker is that you feel loved in a way.
Yes,
like, you should give me some love, I'll give you some back and I'll be at my very best.
Absolutely.
If I'm not necessarily getting that from you, then I can perform, but you might not get the very best from me.
I never actually looked at it that way though. Now that I'm actually reciting, everything that I'm saying to you, I never actually looked at it in that way. So it's very, it's kind of like opening my eyes a bit more.
And love is a really interesting thing because it looks different to different people. So other people might think they're giving you love, but when you go to do a talk, for example, but you might be thinking, not getting it, not feeling the same comfort that I would somewhere else.
Very true.
And I guess, how do people know what you need?
I guess people only know what you need when you tell them what you need. But in these instances, I didn't have to tell them what I needed. It was just available and they made it available to me. And that's what they offered to me and I happily accepted it.
That's a question to think about, I think, a bit deeper, because if you're saying, when you get that, you're this fearless speaker, this empowered woman that you really want to be. When you get that, I think that's what every person who comes to one of your talks will want.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if we want to ensure they get that, there's something about ensuring that they're giving you the soil so you can blossom, that you can really flower. So I'm wondering a bit more about how you get it. How do you get what you need from when you're going to do your talks?
I guess it's something that's given to me. It's something that they are freely offering to me. I don't demand it or I don't ask for it, just in case I'm asking a bit too much from what they can actually give to me. But if they happily give it, I'm able then automatically to be put into that comfortable environment where I can then, be my free self to do, whatever. But unfortunately, if they're not offering that, I can't accept that because that's not, within the package that they're offering. So then I have to settle for not receiving that, maybe that want, that desire. And so I may not then perform to my best of ability if I'm not actually getting that then.
So I heard some things I can't ask. If they don't give it to me, that's just how it is. I'll just have to settle then for what I get. How true is that?
Well, I don't know if it's entirely true, because I guess if you don't ask, you don't get. And if you don't ask, you're not going to be aware whether or not that's going to be available. But I guess it's just a perception that I have, probably a closed-minded perception of what I have that, if I potentially ask, it may not be available, or let me not ask at all because it's not going to be available, if that makes sense.
So useful for you to reflect on that. I've definitely gone to talks where people have said, I need you as an audience to nod your head and smile when I say these things. They've said that. And then as an audience member, I duly do it. I do what I'm being asked to do. And that probably gives them something that they need, because it means that they know I'm listening because I'm nodding, or, I laugh or smile because they've asked me to do that. And not because it's fake, but, at the appropriate times or whatever. But I know that the person needs something. And I think this is not just about public speaking, actually. I think this is about life, that sometimes we get exactly what we need from friends or family or clients, and other times we have to ask.
Yes, very true.
And they can give it or they don't, but unless we ask, we might not ever get it because they don't know we need it.
It's a very interesting point that you've just made there, because I guess in my mind, if you're not offering it naturally, in my mind, it's like it's not available. Because if you're not offering it, it's obviously not available. And I guess that's another closed-minded view that I have, because surely if you offered it, it's obviously available. But if you're not offering it, it's not on the market at all.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And that could be true. It might not be, but it could be.
Yes.
It could be. They might be busy or not thought about it, or, who knows? Yeah. There might be quite a lot of reasons there why you're not getting it. And the only way is to ask and then find out if it's available.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's something about you, if you're, being this empowered, fearless woman, then the empowerment works on the floor on the public speaking stage, but also when you're off it as well. To be empowered to ask for what I want, to not worry if they say, no, we can't give you the food, or, or whatever, the love or whatever it is before, but to be fearless in requesting what you need. could be a step forward in the right direction.
I'll definitely take that on board. I didn't actually think about that, yeah. I guess, yeah, empowerment is not only a feeling, it's an action as well. So if I act on the feeling of empowerment, I'll definitely feel fulfilled in that sort of way, if the service is available for me. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more what it's like to be empowered, what you see as being an empowered person.
To be successful, to be self-assured, to know exactly who you are and where you're going, to be wise in your decision-making, to feel like you're not in need of the validation of others. You're not seeking the approval of others because you know who you are, and that's important. To also not settle for less than what you deserve, and to kind of know your worth and where you're heading as well.
Okay. So do you have any daily practices or things that you're already doing to help you be that person?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't say I do a daily practice, but I am quite religious, so I do read my Bible, and I believe that kind of empowers me in some sort of way. And sometimes when I have the availability as well, I do kind of read out self-fulfilling, affirmations that I say now and again, recite to myself in the mirror, or just, with me being there. And I allow that to kind of empower me to make me feel like the person that I should be.
So my sense is that you are already very empowered, already very aware of yourself at your core, of who you are and what you're about. I guess, of course, we're all a work in practice, so we all want to get better and be better. But I feel that you know a lot of what you need to do. So I'm wondering what you feel that you need to do to take yourself to the next level.
Well, some days, it's actually funny that you say that, because some days I don't actually feel empowered. Some days I feel, fearful. I feel like, this call is not for me. This isn't something that I can manage. This isn't something that I can handle. But I know that what I need in order to actually fulfill this call is to, basically believe in myself. I guess it stems from, just believing in yourself and knowing who you are, knowing that the direction that you're going in is going to be great, regardless of the setbacks that may come your way. It's just everything to do with self-belief and kind of, detaching, the opinions of other people, especially the negative ones, from you, and just, believing in yourself.
And so if you have you said some days you have a bad day, which is completely natural. So I think we might have to think about how realistic is to eliminate all self-doubt, or all anxiety, or all fear. And maybe what purpose does it serve? If we just thought about it for a different way, if we reframed it, what purpose does fear serve ever? Or what purpose does actually those down days, when you do have some self-doubt or where you are a bit knocked, what purpose do they serve, do you think?
Well, I guess it doesn't really serve a purpose, because if you're feeling fearful, you're ultimately holding yourself back from what you're capable of doing. So it doesn't really serve a purpose, but then it does serve a purpose when you're having your good days, because you're using that as something that can ultimately then amplify you to the next level, something to use as a reflection mode where you're saying, actually, I've actually feeling like this before, but I have the ability to do this, just like what I've did now.
Absolutely. So it shows your resilience.
Yes.
Yeah, I can bounce back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've learned that I bounce back from these difficult days. Yeah. And I also have something to compare my good days to. I'm not there, I'm now here on those good days. Absolutely. So it does serve that purpose. But also, these things are always present, I think. So I don't think there's anyone who doesn't ever experience fear. I think you learn to hold its hand and take it along with you, but make sure that it's not the one taking you over. But I personally do feel that fear is just another side of excitement. If I'm going to go on a roller coaster, I'm terrified, but I'm also excited. And so when I feel fearful, I kind of tap into, what am I excited about? What does this mean? Maybe it means this really matters to me. Maybe it means it means something here, rather than I don't want you to be present. because the fact is, I don't think it's going away. It might minimise, but I don't think it disappears. And I think to focus on making it disappear maybe only makes it larger. You know, if I say to you, don't think about elephants, what do you think about?
Elephants.
Exactly. So don't be fearful. I'm probably going to be more fearful because I'm telling myself not to be. So if you focus elsewhere or think about it like, fear's going to come with me. Yeah, fear's here, but fear's not taking over. And that's all right. So I think some of this that you might be kind of toying with or fighting with, you might need to think, actually, maybe this isn't going away. Maybe there'll always be some bad days. How can I still succeed with these things along my journey, rather than focusing on eliminating them?
With what you've said, it was amazing what you've all said. It's about feeling the fear then and doing it anyway. Feeling fearful and just going with it, you know. Some people say that, you know, the adrenaline makes them feel so good, and I feel like maybe that's something that I should allow to happen to me, you know, when you're being called up into a stage and you're feeling so fearful, oh my gosh, not me, let me not do it. Allow that very thing to amplify you, to allow you to, you know, propel and to be that person, you know, delivering the great workshops that, you know, you're called to deliver. So I guess it's about doing it afraid. Doing it afraid. Doing it, but doing it, you know, doing it afraid if you're afraid.
Absolutely. I think that's quite a good little mantra for you. Do it afraid. And some people bring it into the room. Some people will say, you know what, I'm nervous. You know what, I don't feel comfortable here today, but I'm going to deliver this to you because I think it's really important to say. Absolutely. And I think no one ever thinks, oh my gosh, they shouldn't be nervous, because everyone knows that to get on stage makes people feel nervous. You know, So think about where you're focusing, what you're focusing on amplifying, what you're focusing on removing, how much energy that might be taken away from what you could be doing. Is something just for you to hold and reflect on. But I want to go back to this idea of a daily practice. And so you read your Bible, there's all the wisdom in the world there and all of the connection. And that's a real spiritual, activity. So that's, brilliant. I wonder what else you might do to tap into this empowered and fearless person. I don't know how much time you have. I don't know. Is there time in the day to do more for you right
Definitely.
now? Okay. So have you tried anything else? You said you've done some affirmations before. Have you ever done any journaling or anything like that?
Oh yes, I definitely journal.
Okay. So is that a regular thing for you?
It's only a regular thing when I experience a serious setback. So for example, if I, want to excel in something and actually I had a bad day and it didn't go so well, then I'll journal about it because it made me feel all sorts of emotions. So only like the very important things that happened, so I can document them, just so that when, I get to those places that I'm actually thriving, I can look back on it and say, I'm still human.
Yeah, which is brilliant, And I think, reflection is thinking with purpose, and that's what you're doing. You think you've got a purpose and you think with purpose. It might be something that you want to do more regularly than like an not emergency, but those difficult situations. Julia Cameron has a book called The Artist's Way. Have you ever come across that book? No. And she wrote this book for artists who get writer's block when they're being creative. And it's a really excellent book for anyone. And she talks about a number of things. One thing she talks about is going on dates with yourself, which I really love. And I used to do that. I used to go to an art gallery and just sit by myself. This is a date I want to give myself. And it was a really good time for reflecting and connecting with me. But another thing she talks about is morning pages. Just getting up every day for a week and just journaling, just filling in 5 pages just with a stream of consciousness, whatever's coming into your mind. It might be, I'm not looking forward to this day, or my shoulder's aching, or I dreamt about Batman, anything, just write it down. Absolutely. You don't censor it, you don't, oh, I spelt that wrong or whatever. You don't do any of that. You whatever language you want to use, you use. No one else is going to read it. And you do all the writing for 5 days and then you read it back. and you become very aware of what you're thinking. Because although we're thinking all the time, sometimes we're telling ourselves so much stuff that we're not sure about, you know, and it's
Very
stuff
true.
that can sabotage us
Yes.
and hold us back, or help us doubt ourselves and all of those things. And there's so much information. So what it does is it takes your subconscious into your consciousness. And I think that would be a useful practice to start doing for you, even just for a week, just to write. Wake up in the morning, just write. Or if you find it really difficult to do it, then do it just before you go to bed. But just write and then put it down, and then read it after a week, and just see the themes that are coming up. Because I think there'll be keys to your own empowerment and fearlessness in there, as well as maybe other things that maybe you're not aware of that you're thinking about.
Very true, because I guess our thoughts can, like, as you said, self-sabotage us.
Absolutely.
And if we're not aware of what we're thinking, you know, on days where we're, you know, amping ourselves up for that big day, all of those thoughts can come back at once and derail us.
Absolutely.
even. Yeah.
And sometimes the other thing that's happening is that we're just being really mean to ourselves. You know, we're being so hard on ourselves. And when you read it and you think, well, I would never say that to anyone I loved.
Yes.
So why am I saying it to me? So even just becoming much more aware of that kind of thing for you could be a good thing in terms of just developing this practice. So on my retreats, I talk about the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional. Okay, and we kind of talked about the spiritual, I think, yeah, and that's the religion, but also the just being with yourself, which you can get from journaling.
Absolutely.
What about your physical self? How do you look after yourself?
That's the thing. I've really been wanting to go to the gym as of late, but I just haven't got round to doing it.
Okay.
So, you know, in regards to looking after my physical self, it's something that I haven't actually been doing.
Because all of that sort of thing builds into that, you know, that when you're talking about public speaking, all of that, being aware of your physical and feeling good about the physical can really help you feel the confidence when you're, you know, actually sharing your message with other people.
Interesting.
It doesn't have to be the gym. If gym's your thing, that's fine. But, you know, for some people it's yoga, or just doing some stretching, or doing more walking. Is the gym your thing?
It's not really my thing, but I need to get into it because of my weight gain. I need to lose weight. But I do a lot of walking, which makes me feel very good at times, and it just makes me feel, you know, very connected with nature and very, you know, to the point where I can breathe, you know, feeling the fresh air and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it might be that you do more walking or more uphill walking, or you know, it might not be that you can go to the gym. I'm not criticising the gym, but it isn't for everyone. So you might think, actually, if I do more uphill walking, that's equivalent to doing a jog or something like that. So think about what works for you, because different physical activity works for different people, and the gym is not the only way. But I think that does feed into, you know, we're a whole system, and I think the physical feeds into that sense of being empowered and that sense of fearlessness.
Absolutely.
So thinking about what can I do to work on that area. Is there any exercise that you've done before that you really loved? I hear you like walking and connecting with nature. Is there any other exercise that you've done that you've thought, I do enjoy this, I lose myself in it?
I wouldn't actually say so, but I would love to actually explore that, to actually maybe find that favourite exercise that I can do every day and make me feel, you know, great about myself.
Yeah, and maybe it's, so experiment.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the commitment could be to experiment as opposed to definitely doing something. So rather than to sign up at the gym, it might be, tomorrow I'm going trampolining, and the day after I'm going to go try indoor skiing and whatever. You know, you could try.
Yeah.
Just try, and without commitment, and in a playful way as well.
Making it fun.
Yeah.
Happy and free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds nice. And so we have the mental. I think most of us use our brain a lot now. You know, they're doing our reading and our whatever. So most people spend time in that space of mental activity. And then there's the emotional, and really getting in touch with how you feel. And I don't know, is there anything you do particularly to help you do that?
I'd find journaling. So when I journal, I say whether or not I'm feeling angry, anxious, you know, frustrated, happy, sad, ecstatic, you know, all of those kind of different emotions. So I tap into my emotions then, but I don't do it on a daily basis, as mentioned before. I only do it, you know, when I'm feeling the horrible emotions. But I feel like on a day-to-day basis, like how you mentioned that book and how she says that, you know, journaling for 5 days, I think that I would participate in that and really get to know myself emotionally more than anything.
Yeah. So I think one of the things in answer to what you're saying is, in a way, to be the person you want to be is about developing your habits. So to make the things that you do already like a habit that you don't even have to think about anymore. And to do that, it's about consistency and practice.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me, just thinking about what we've said today, what's resonating with you and what you might do?
What is actually resonating with me today is when you spoke about the holistic being, you know, treating yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything as a whole, but in a positive way, and being aware of yourself. And I've realised that actually through this conversation that I'm actually not always aware of myself emotionally. I'm not always aware of myself physically. And I feel like if I tap into those things on a daily occurrence, I'll actually start to see changes, you know, not only in my behaviour, but in naturally my actions, especially when, you know, delivering these sessions and when, you know, wanting to feel empowered and, you know, all of these different things. So I've definitely taken a lot, yeah.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in terms of what you wanted to get from the session and where you are, how sure are you that sort of focus will help you get there?
By making it my duty to do those things. So for example, when you mentioned about journaling for 5 days straight, I think I will try that out and then from that evaluate whether or not I'm seeing, you know, positive changes or negative changes. Also helping myself physically, tapping into, you know, doing different exercises that I may find fun. And, you know, from finding what I may find fun, yeah, kind of like taking it from there, really.
Yeah, absolutely does. I think you should be really proud of yourself. You've got a real commitment to being the best you.
Yes.
That's what I see. And that's like, I don't know if everyone has that. I don't, you know, lots of people don't have that, do they? I think they're just going through life and going through the motions. But to seriously focus on being the best you, which is what I got from our conversation.
Definitely.
With that focus, then there's nothing that you can't achieve, I don't think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem. No, it's been really lovely to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.